In a prestigious high school, Takane is the definition of perfection. She dominates in academics, outshines in sports, and even secures the position of student council president, an impressive feat. Considering she's only a freshman, she's admired by everyone, respected by teachers, and practically untouchable. To put it simply, Tak is a goddess among students, and Koushi is the complete opposite. He's just below average. His grades are a mess, his presence is barely acknowledged, and he's practically a background character in his own school life. Yet despite the overwhelming gap between them, Koushi can't help but admire Tan from afar. They've gone to the same school since childhood, and in all that time, she's always been leagues above him. Naturally, she's never had a reason to notice him, at least that's what he thinks. As Koushi drags himself to his usual lunch spot, lost in self-deprecating thoughts, he fails to notice the way Tan's gaze lingers on him before she walks off in another direction. He has no idea that in the near future, their relationship will change forever. And it all starts with lunch. Koushi's usual hideout is a forgotten sports supply room, a place where no one bothers him. As he eats his lunch, he checks his phone to see today's agenda and immediately regrets it. Today is the day they will be receiving their math grades, and he's fully expecting another disaster. But just as he's about to wallow in despair, the door creaks open. Koushi tenses as he realizes someone other than him is here. Quickly, he ducks behind a stack of boxes, peering out cautiously. His breath catches when he sees Tan before he can even process why someone like her would be here. She casually begins to undress. Koushi spins around, pressing himself against the supplies. His mind races, willing himself not to peep at her, to give her some privacy, but he finds his resolve breaking when he hears the soft rustle of fabric hitting the floor. Against his better judgment, his eyes betray him and he sneaks a glance for a brief moment. He freezes. Tan isn't wearing a bra. The realization hits him like a truck. Perfect, untouchable Tan had somehow forgotten to wear a bra to school. Koushi scrambles back, heart pounding out of his chest, still overwhelmed that he just saw the most popular girl's chest. As the lunch break ends, students shuffle back to class. Koushi takes his seat, still trying to process everything, but his mind keeps flashing back to Tan's chest. The teacher starts handing back graded exams, and Koushi braces himself for the worst. But when he gets his test back, he is pleasantly surprised to see that he actually passed the exam. Then something even more shocking happens. When Tan gets her paper back, she doesn't get 100%. The class falls silent. Whispers ripple through the room. The Queen of Perfection got a 98. Koushi watches her closely, wondering what might have happened. Just then, out of nowhere, she starts removing her underwear right in front of everyone. Koushi is in shock. His mind focuses on how soft her bottom looks. But before he can react further, something strange happens. The air around him shifts. He then sees a strange butterfly fluttering to where a door appears out of nowhere, floating in space. Strange lines begin to move, rendering everything in an instant. Koushi is back to where he was about to receive his test score. He walks up to receive his test paper, trying to convince himself that what he just experienced was nothing more than a strange dream. The idea of him passing on the first try is already unrealistic enough. So maybe he imagined the whole thing. Maybe it was stress, exhaustion, or just a weird case of deja vu. But as his eyes scan the page, his stomach twists. The score in front of him is exactly the same as the one from his vision. When the teacher calls out, taking Koushi looks up, remembering how Tan scored in 98, but this time there's no reaction, no whispers, no murmur of disbelief, because Tan has scored a perfect 100. At the end of class, Koushi realizes that every bizarre thing that happened today seems to revolve around one person, Tan, so he decides to confront her about her test score in the student council room. When he enters, he nervously mentions that he saw her score in 98. The moment he mentions it, the air in the room shifts. Her posture remains composed, but there's something different now. Her coldness settles in her expression. Her once inviting presence now feels suffocating. Before Koushi can even come up with excuses, Tan is standing too close, backing him into a wall. As she tries to ponder, she puts her guard down and concludes that Koushi must have seen her chest in the sports supply room. She backs Koushi into the wall as he tries to come up with excuses. Suddenly, she smiles, telling him that nothing can be done at this point, and that they need to come up with a deal to keep her secret. Koushi's mind is filled with worrying. He thinks that Tan might find a way to expel him. When she hands him a cup of water, he accidentally drops it due to being so nervous. Luckily, Tan manages to prevent herself from getting wet. Koushi scrambles to wipe away the spilled water from the floor, and the moment she decides the time is right to display her ability, she then begins to undress, and Koushi is suddenly brought into the dark space where the butterfly appears, and a strange door reappears. As the butterfly enters, he sees a room of clocks that suddenly begin to rewind. Then reality snaps back into place and Tan is drenched. Koushi stares, his brain unable to process what just happened. Tan orders him to wipe her, and he kneels down hesitantly, pressing a towel against the damp fabric of her uniform. As Koushi begins to do what he is ordered, he fails to notice something. Tan guides his hand so that he can touch her chest, but Koushi can only focus on how soft it is. In response, Tan kicks him hard so that he can focus. Koushi looks at her from his place on the floor. She lifts her top and explains that the bra she had previously worn suddenly disappeared. Koushi barely has time to process everything that just happened before Tan begins explaining, with the same confidence she always carries, that her ability Eternal Card Road allows her to rewind time whenever she removes her underwear. Just moments ago, she had taken off her bra on purpose, ensuring she would get hit by the spilled water to improve her power before his very eyes. Unbuttoning the top part of her uniform slightly, she exposes her chest once more, completely unbothered by the way Koushi tenses. Her tone remains steady as she explains that whenever she activates her ability, the underwear she removes ceases to exist. It's erased from reality itself. The reason Koushi remembers is that he saw her chest back in the storage room. That alone makes him an exception. Koushi's mind spins, trying to keep up, but his focus keeps slipping no matter how much he tells himself to listen. His gaze keeps flickering back to her body. The sheer absurdity of what she's saying mixes with the overwhelming awkwardness of the situation, making it nearly impossible to process anything properly. His mind refuses to settle. Tan carries on as if nothing is amiss. She recounts the first time her ability manifested. It was during a sports festival in the 5th grade, a day when she was expected to win without question. Just before the race, the bento shire had already gone bad, causing her stomach unbearable pain. She tried to push through it, but her body slowed against her will, and for the first time in her life, she failed to take first place. The frustration of losing, the humiliation of coming second, it was too much to bear. Then, just when she thought the day couldn't get worse, she peed herself in front of everyone. Desperate to escape the shame, she rushed for a change, slipping off her soaked underwear without a second thought. And in that moment, the world shifted. Time reversed. Suddenly, she was holding the flag for first place. From that moment on, she understood that this ability existed to ensure she never lost. As Koushi listens, a cold unease settles in his stomach. Tan truly believes she's entitled to always win, and now she knows he remembers things no one else can. Tan continues, seemingly unaware of his growing panic. She casually complains about the inconvenience of always having to carry spare underwear, saying it's a hassle to be constantly prepared for emergencies. But now she has a solution. Koushi, with his ability to remember events before the rewind, is the perfect candidate. He will become her closet. Koushi thinks he is somehow rewarding her by sweetening the deal if he agrees to do what she says. But then she suddenly lets out a piercing screech. The sound echoes through the halls, loud enough to reach the ears of every student nearby. When the door bursts open, they are met with a scene that leaves little room for interpretation. Gasps and shouts fill the air as several students grab Koushi, yanking him away from Tan. The girls in the crowd immediately pull out their phones, calling the police. Realization crashed down on Koushi like a ton of bricks. He's being framed. His mind races, trying to find a way out, but everything is happening too fast. The crowd's judgment is swift, and before he knows it, officials are already arriving, ready to take him away. Just as he is about to be dragged out of the room, Tan finally speaks, her voice soft and almost teasing. She asks him if he wishes for none of this to have ever happened. Swallowing his pride, he turns to her and begs her to use her power. Tan smiles, a victorious gleam in her eyes. She has him exactly where she wants him. With a quick flick of her skirt that just reveals her underwear, she poses the question again, if he wants her to save him. He, with no other choice, slowly agrees. The strange, surreal space of floating clocks and shimmering light surrounds them once more. Signal of the rewind. Tan, now free of the previous events, takes full advantage of her victory. She explains Koushi's new rule, clearly enjoying his discomfort. She teases him, making light of the situation, as if trapping him into servitude is nothing more than a game. For his first task as her closet, she gives him an order. He has to put new underwear on her, since the one she removed was erased from existence. She playfully blames him for the inconvenience, reminding him that she had to remove it for his sake. When Koushi hesitates, she wastes no time in reminding him of his position. Begrudgingly, he digs into her bag and pulls out a pair of pink, frilly underwear. His hands tremble as he approaches her, the reality of what he's about to do setting in. Despite the absurdity of the situation, he knows he can't refuse. Slowly, he kneels before her, his face burning as he carefully slides the fabric up her legs, trying to avoid touching her skin any more than necessary. Tan watches his every move and notices something peculiar. Despite the fact that he had openly stared at her chest earlier in the day, he now keeps his eyes firmly shut ever since he entered the student council room. Even when she had purposely exposed herself, yet made an active effort to avert his gaze, she casually mentions that he is a gentleman, hinting that they have met before. But before Koushi can dwell on her words, she gives him a new order, putting on her bra this time. She challenges him to do it with his eyes closed.